Greetings, traveler.
My name is Pomberstump, and this is a walkthrough and narration of The Life of the Party, a one-shot adventure made for the 2026 Fae-themed Monster Week event. Monster Week is an annual community event created and organized by Ginny and Pointy Hat, wherein tons of content creators are going to be getting together and posting videos about this year's creature feature. This video, well, it's not, I shouldn't say it's a one-shot, it's made to be a DM's tool. It's an adventure built not to be run as a standalone, but as a mini adventure slotted into any fantasy-themed campaign. If you are a DM and you're looking for a way to buy time for your next big destination, or you want to make your overland travel feel like it took actual time, or if you're looking for Fae-themed D&D content to deconstruct and reskin into something that's more appropriate for your world, then this should probably have something for you. Please note that this is a narration of what could happen using these player assets. It's not a one-to-one reflection of how these assets would work out in your own game, because, of course, players have agency, and I'm narrating to a screen right now. My insert players will do as little as humanly possible to obstruct me telling you the story so that I can get through with this in a reasonable time. This adventure is balanced around a level 4 party and includes 2 combats with homebrew monsters. Each of those combats rewards one fairly simple, fairly low-powered homebrew magic item. And outside of that, there are a number of opportunities to collect other simple, non-homebrew rewards like money or adventuring gear. Make sure that my game's economy matches your game's economy before just tossing it in there without making any adjustments. Also, if you'd like to skip the narration, each of the combats will be time-stamped, and the adventure notes, including the stat sheets and free transparent PNGs of all the art made during this video, will be available for download in the description. They should be ready to drag and drop into your choice of online tabletop. Alright, well, with that out of the way, this is The Life of the Party. It's been a long day's travel. You and your companions, well, you're a little stiff from your voyage. Still, your spirits are high, because according to your map, just down this mountain, this last hill, lies the town of Prin. Now, of course, Prin is nothing special. It's just a small settlement. Looks like it's built up around some duke's hunting lodge or something like that. But to a weary traveler, it means a soft bed and a hot meal. So, with thoughts of well-earned comfort, you crest the hill and look out over the valley where you spot distant plumes of chimney smoke wafting over the trees. But there's something else that hangs in the air. A sweet smell, maybe overripe fruit. And what's more, the forest is oddly quiet. Quiet enough that you can hear music in the town below, despite it still being a couple hours walk from here. Let's get a perception check. You look around, you get your bearings. The path is still a little overgrown. It seems not many people have been coming up this way lately. And while you look around for the source of the smell, you do see some trees up ahead of you, like fruiting cherry trees, it looks like. And maybe an overripe orchard might make a smell like this one. Actually, it stirs a memory in you. You've heard of a fine brandy called Kirsch Prin. And Prin's the name of this town, so that's probably not a coincidence. Maybe you could get a couple bottles and they'd sell well in the next city. It's easy money for someone who's already passing through. Still, the rotting of fruit doesn't really quite match what you're smelling here. There's definitely something else. Wait. Over there. Just off the path, you spot a cloud of flies, and the smell intensifies. You cautiously peer into the brush, and you find 2 human corpses. The corpses are not yet skeletal, but they have been decomposing for a while. Both of them wore the torn-up remains of what might have once been fine clothing. One looks like it might have had a tattered, layered suit on, and the other definitely something that used to be a dress. Oddly enough, their fingers in death are entwined with one another, and Well, oh, there, on one of those fingers rests a ring with a crest on it. It's not a crest you recognize, but it's clearly the kind of ring that would have been made to be stamped into a wax seal, so this person likely belongs to a very wealthy house. You step into the brush and inspect the bodies, trying to see if there's any sign of what could have killed these two. The corpses are in really bad shape. Still, there are some details you can make out. The bodies belong to a middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman. Both are riddled with scars. Not wounds, healed scars. The feet are particularly bad. They're bare and swollen, except for the slightest tatter of what was once a sock, and they're covered in a webbing of callus and scar tissue. The two are, of course, very much dead. They may have healed from many wounds in life, but there are plenty of unhealed holes in them now, though most of those look like they came from scavengers. As you search for signs of what may have caused this death, you note the protruding ribs and sunken eyes. They're extreme, even for a corpse, as though the two were extremely malnourished before they died. As you poke and prod, you don't find any clear sign of what killed these two, but you do find something. There, crumpled in the dead woman's fist, is a scrap of parchment. You grab the parchment and unfold it. It's a note, and it's written in a gaudy cursive script. It reads,
"It is softer here. It is easier to feel. I see you down there in the village, dancing with a stranger, and my heart breaks that we are not together. You scatter tacks in our bedchamber, and of course I love you all the more. I will not give up. I will not go on alone, for in my heart I believe that one day soon you and I will awaken in each other's arms, see through our shared pain, and together find salvation. Forever yours, Simon."
It's a love letter, or poetry, or both. Very flowery, very over-the-top, kind of silly sounding, though it seems like it must have worked. They are, after all, holding hands, and were presumably running away together, so there's that. Still, a lot needs explaining. These two look far too wealthy to have gone missing without someone looking for them, and, well, someone should probably report this to the guards. Maybe there will be some kind of a reward. With that in mind, the party makes its way down the slope towards Prin. The path down towards the village is sunny and cheery, almost enough to make you forget about the grisly scene you've just left behind. There are cherry trees. They dot the path on the way down. Many of them have fruit. You hear more of that lively little tune coming from the town down ahead. As Prin comes into view, you can see that there are dozens of people out in the streets, dancing and singing and playing instruments. There seems to be some sort of town-wide festival taking place. They've set up a huge stage where a band is playing, and there are long tables loaded with food and drink. In the center of the square, there's a big maypole, and you can see a bunch of smiling townsfolk dancing around it. And all of a sudden, you are clapped on the back by someone who bellows, "Welcome to Prin!" right in your ear. You turn to see a rosy-cheeked woman wearing a guard's uniform and a wreath on her head. In her hand, she is holding her guard's helmet. It is upside down, and she's holding it like a bowl, and it's filled with some kind of dark liquid. She raises it like a glass and says, "Well, looky here, we got travelers. Hello, my name's Penny. That's Chief Penny. Or if you're my friends, you can call me Pickled Penny. And I'm on gate duty today, so it's my job to look you up and down and make certain you don't bring anything too dangerous into town. And, well, seeing as y'all really blurry today, I don't see anything too dangerous.
Come on in.
The party looks around with a little confusion. She did call herself Chief, and I suppose she is wearing a guard's uniform. Well, I suppose if there's anyone you should report this to, the whole, two bodies in the woods scenario, I mean, I guess it's her. She stares blankly as you make your report, and replies,
Oh, there's dead folks in the woods? Oh, that's so sad. Oh, well, I mean, I'll probably still be there when the party's over, right? And, I mean, it's not like they're in Prin, right? So, I mean, not really my problem, is it?
The party tries to insist. This is, after all, well within her purview as the town's guard, to which Penny replies,
Now, hold on a second. Am I the kind of person you would want investigating your murder? I mean, in this state? No, thank you. I do not drink on the job, and as I am drunk, I cannot possibly be on the job.
And with that proclamation, she lets out a loud burp and promptly passes out. You take a look around the rest of the town, seeing if there are any other members of the city guard or someone else with a badge of authority that you could report this to. There are a lot of people out in town, but no one seems to be wearing any guards' uniforms, and, well, you don't see any barracks or any, mayoral office or anything like that. There are, however, dozens of people dancing around and plenty of food. You think to yourself, well, I mean, surely we'll find someone. It just takes a little time. And you pass into the streets of Prin. As you make your way through town, you pass... Well, the first notable thing you pass is that there are dozens of people in brightly colored costumes dancing around this giant maypole in the center of town. Each of them are holding a long colored ribbon in their hands, and they are twirling around, and together they're braiding the ribbons up and down the maypole in a display of music and dance and color that's, frankly, very festive. There are kids running through the streets playing tag. People all around the courtyard are clapping and stamping their feet in time with the band. And there's food everywhere, and it's all seemingly free for the taking. While you take it all in, you spot two men skipping up the cobbles carrying a keg between them. And at the end of one table, a woman empties the last dregs of a different keg and dramatically kicks the barrel off its stand, just as the new keg is being set down. The crowd cheers, and mugs are filled again. As the drink is passed around, a mug is handed to you. You take a swig. It's not beer or wine. It's sweet and it's sharp. It's something made, you're sure, with crushed cherries and spice and liquor. You don't have a name for it, but whatever it is, it's strong and it puts a skip in your step. You sit down for a second and watch the band. They've been playing non-stop for a long time now. You could hear them outside of town as you came in. The band's song comes to an end, and they immediately strike up again. The next song, it's not identical to this one, but it sounds a hell of a lot like it. Still, it's bright, it's chipper, it's expertly played, no one bats an eye. You take another look around for an authority figure, and... I mean, well, it's like Penny said, those corpses aren't going anywhere. So, yeah, why not? You head over to the tables, you grab yourself 2 hand pies and a chicken drumstick, and take a big bite. The drumstick is delicious. Your second bite is even better. Incredible, even. And your third is... Well, no, hold on. Oh, gross. Oh, something's not right. It's spoiled. That's really not the texture chicken should have at all. Oh, it looks fine, but there's something very weird here. You look it over, it's normal. So you take a bite of pie and oh, gross, that's rancid. You're not even certain that's food there. You spit it out and set the food aside. Well, I mean, the drink was good at least, and I guess not everyone can be a decent cook. Before you have time to investigate much further, you're waved down by a man in suspenders. He seems to be dancing a jig on top of the roof of a rickety vendor's stall. The stall is labeled Mosey on Dan's.
Well, hello! I see we have visitors. Here to sample the culinary delights of Prin, I guess? Well, you're not going to find anything good down on those tables over there. But if you'd like to sample the best and most award-winning cherry pies in town, then I suggest you mosey on down to Mosey on Dan's pie-eating competition. Only 5 gold per contestant.
Before this man even finishes his pitch, another voice rings out from across the road.
Or, instead of paying for pie on a day where all the pie in town is free, you could come with me and I'll make you famous. Give you a chance to prove your talent with the only weapon wielded by peasants and lords alike. The noble bow and arrow. Yes, that's right. You are formally invited to Stefan Up's legendary tournament of archers. Just 5 gold per competitor.
You look back and forth between the two. Is there a prize?
Is there a prize, they ask? Oh, and what a prize it is. Besides, of course, the fame and notoriety you will undoubtedly attain in this here tournament, the winner will also walk away with 2 bottles of fine Kirsch Prin from my personal stock.
Can't we, just do both? This and the pie thing?
Well, I suppose you could if you don't mind giving your hard-earned coin to that thief.
Thief? You're the thief, Steph, stealing my customers.
Ah, well, what'll it be then? Should I count you in?
The party considers for a second. 2 of your crew are quite good with a bow, and, well, you're still a little sick from what happened with the chicken. You could probably beat some peasants in an archery competition. I mean, this'll be easy, right? You'll go with Steph.
Ha! You hear that, Dan? Time to mosey on.
Up yours, Steph.
But enough jabber. It's time for a contest of skill.
He pulls out a bugle and trumpets across the courtyard shouting,
2 travelers here have challenged us to a show of marksmanship. Surely some of you will rise to the occasion. Come on now. The proud hunting village of Prin would never be cowed in a test of archery by errant travelers, right? Right?
Nobody responds to him.
Hold on a second.
Stefan struts over to the unconscious Chief Penny, whom, you left on the ground near the village gate. He bends over and shouts,
Penny! Come on, we need another shooter for the archery range.
Penny's eyes open and she snaps to attention.
Yes, sir.
And she stumbles over.
Right. Anyone else? Anyone? No one? Oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to compete myself.
And Stefan pulls out his bow and he takes a practiced stance. Well, the tournament begins, and competitors take turns shooting. Stefan is, in fact, a quite confident and highly skilled archer, but then again, you're adventurers, you're great at this. Penny, on the other hand, she's not doing her best. Her first arrow hits the wrong target, and her second arrow hits the side of the booth. And the third arrow flies off to the left, straight into the crowded city street, where it embeds itself in the neck of a woman standing at one of the food tables. The woman screams, and she claws at the arrow. Her eyes are bulging. She's grabbing at the arrow shaft, and she wrenches it out of her neck. Gore goes everywhere. And then, almost as soon as it began, the woman stops screaming. She stares at the arrow. A confused look crosses her face, and then she tosses it over her shoulder and goes back to eating. Penny looks kind of mad. She shouts,
Hey, that's cheating. She moved my arrow.
And the party looks at one another, suspicion and confusion on each of their faces. Behind you, Stefan takes his final shot, which misses the bullseye by a hair, and he curses under his breath.
Fine, you win. Come take your prize.
He pulls out a crate with a sigil like the one you saw on the ring before, and he slides it open and hands you 2 bottles wrapped in paper. The bottles are unlabeled and clearly not the same size, but the party barely takes notice. I mean, are we not going to talk about what just happened? You're all still staring at the woman who, moments ago, had an arrow through her neck. Like a really lethal-looking arrow through the neck. You decide to go take a closer look. The woman appears to be wearing the garb of a healer. Perhaps a cleric from the local church. The blood, however, the blood that you're sure you just saw, that you're all sure you just saw, well, that's gone. She was covered in gore a moment ago, but it's gone now. It's not on her clothes, it's not on the ground, it's just gone. Same with the wound, she's fine. You ask her about the arrow in her neck.
An arrow? Oh, yes, I do remember something about an arrow. But it's nothing to worry about. I'm fine, as you can see.
You ask, did perhaps she heal herself with magic and I guess clean up the road?
Oh, no. I do have some medicinal magic, but, well, I haven't had any reason to use it of late. Prin's a safe place. You don't need to worry about it.
Something's clearly fishy here. You ask her, what do you mean? Prin's a safe place.
Well, what do you mean? Just as I said, Prin's perfectly safe. There's nothing ever bad happens here. No one ever really gets hurt.
Well, you just got hurt, didn't you?
Well, I suppose I did, but as you can see, I'm fine now. Nothing to worry about.
You know, that did look really bad. And, I have a friend here who's versed in healing magic. Perhaps you'd let them take a look at where that arrow hit you. She looks at you warily.
Okay,
she says, but clearly uncomfortable. She lets you briefly look at the place on her neck where the arrow must have hit. You don't see anything, but you can feel a slight bump there. There's a little scar there on her neck. You can't really see it, but you can feel it. And as your hand comes away, it's slick with blood. That blood wasn't there a second ago. You can't see it on her neck, but it's on your hand now, and there's no open wound there at all. You don't see it, nor did you feel it, but your hand's covered in blood. And the lady is visibly grossed out by the blood that has suddenly coated your hands, and she backs away a little scared and says,
well, all right, if that's all, I must be going.
She scampers off, and you are left with your companions. You huddle for a second. Clearly, something is either very strange with that woman, or more likely, very strange with the town in general. You decide to cast some spells. Detect Magic is the first one you try. And it works immediately. All around you, every single villager lights up like a beacon, and what's more worrying, so do you and the members of your party. It looks like everyone in town is under the effects of some sort of enchantment. Okay, an enchantment. The party huddles again. What can we do about an enchantment? Is this dangerous? It doesn't really seem to be. It is affecting us, though. Maybe not to the same extent. We didn't glow quite as bright, but like that's not a good thing. We shouldn't just let this happen. Anyone have any spells that affect this? No, not really. We are level 4. And at level 4, our options are pretty limited in terms of what spells can target magic. Dispel magic is out of the question. Remove curse, not so much. Maybe lesser restoration. We could try that. Well, hold on. Before we go spending spell slots, let's see if there's anything else we can figure out about this. Targeting the right area when we do have to spend our resources. You look around and, look there on the ground. It's the arrow that hit that one lady in the neck. You pick it up. Oh, yeah, it's just like that lady's neck. It is covered in blood. You just can't see it. It's underneath some kind of thin, illusory veil. It doesn't really, change when you press your finger into it or anything like that, but you can feel that it's slick, and it gives you an idea. That lady, she screamed. She had a horrible, horrible time when that arrow hit her in the neck. And it didn't last very long, but it was like she was feeling that pain, perhaps. And you tilt the arrow towards your thumb and you press the pad of your thumb into it until it draws blood. You focus in on the flash of pain, and as you do, the glamour around you begins to flicker, and you begin to see Prin as it really is. The village is filthy and decrepit. The food and drink consists of, well, it's not food, it's rotten stumps and bits of old furniture. There's broken glass in a bowl, and it looks like all that drink it looks like pond water. The villagers are extremely malnourished. They're covered in scars where they've cut themselves or bruised themselves without ever noticing. Their eyes are baggy and bloodshot, and of course their feet are worst of all, bare, swollen, and torn, just like the two corpses. The cobbles around the town square are coated in a tacky layer of dried blood and human waste. Even the sun overhead seems like it was part of the glamour. The day is not a sunny one. It is gray and overcast. Almost everything about this scene looks like it was painted over with this magic. Well, almost everything. The music still hangs in the air, and it's as lovely and chipper as ever. As you notice this, the world begins to brighten again, and color floods back into your vision, and again you see the festival as it was moments ago, and you are once again under its power. Your party stares at you for a second. You've clearly had some kind of a revelation, and you begin to notice that it's not just the dancers, it's everyone here. Stefan, Dan, the woman sleeping over there on the bench, even you, everyone is subtly bobbing or tapping their foot or even snoring in time with the music. You begin to make a plan. The band needs to be disrupted. We have to stop this music, and it looks like it's coming from the band, so let's start there. At first you try to play over them, and then you try and distract them. Neither of those work at all. The strongest of your crew attacks the fiddle player, toppling him from his chair and grabbing his instrument and smashing it to pieces. The musician falls to the ground, screams for a couple seconds, and rights themselves before grabbing the broken neck of his violin off the ground and proceeding to play it like it was still in one piece. And, strangely enough, you can hear him playing. You look around at your party incredulously, and when you look back, the violin and the man's chair are whole again. You decide maybe this is a job for magic. Maybe silence? The silence spell? Do we have that? You cast the dome of magic over top the band, and it works for a second. The song is gone. Until, rising up all around you, you listen as every single villager in Prin begins to hum in perfect unison. Clearly, this place is bewitched, and it has something to do with that song, but your efforts in silencing the song have been, well, they've been thoroughly thwarted up to this point. So, let's gather a little more information. I mean, what's this festival even about? We haven't even asked anyone. You return to the woman who was hit by the arrow from before, and you begin to ask her about the festival. What is this occasion again? She turns and looks at you with fresh eyes, like she'd totally forgotten who you were or your previous interaction, and says, Oh, the festival? It's for the Duke and Duchess. They had a newborn son. I haven't seen them around of late. Shame. If you don't know them, I'd love to introduce you. They're lovely people. And how long has the festival been going on? Well, the festival's... Well, it was meant to be a 2-day affair, and let's see, what happened yesterday? I remember dancing and drinking and not a lot else, so I'd say it's been a very fine 2 days. Oh, that's a shame. It means it'll be over in a couple hours. I better get to the keg then, I guess, because it ain't going to be free come tomorrow morning. From what you've seen of the town in its true state, you're certain that it's been a lot longer than 2 days, and you get the idea that nobody here could confidently tell you what happened the day before yesterday. You turn back to the woman. This Duke, I've heard him mentioned before, but you say he's not here? This is his party, isn't it? Doesn't that strike you as a little odd?
His name's, Auclair, Duke Simon Auclair. And, well, it is a little strange now that you mention it, but I suppose the child was just born. Maybe he's up at the lodge with his lady wife. They are new parents, after all. Perhaps they just wanted to stay near the child. Still, I mean, it is a little strange of them to throw a party and not attend. I'll grant you that.
We're gonna go look for him. Can you point the way to the lodge?
Oh, of course. Just up there on the bluff overhead. You can see it. It overlooks the whole town.
Right, you say, turning to your party. Then it's best we get going. The party makes their way out of Prin, heading up the hill towards the Duke and Duchess Auclair's hunting lodge. You can see it from the village streets. It's small, but it is a little gaudy looking. It's up there on top of the bluffs that overlooks Prin. It's well outside of Prin proper, but it won't be that long a walk. To get to the manor, or at least to go straight to the manor, you have to cross through a number of cherry orchards. The orchards look like they were once well taken care of, but currently a little rundown. They have grass and weeds that have overtaken much of the path and pretty much everywhere around the trees. And it's here that we come to the first of our 2 planned combats. Alright, before we get into it, this combat is made to be entirely optional. If your players are anything like mine, they've spent way longer than expected in the town of Prin, and there really isn't any need for 2 combats to make this feel like a fleshed out adventure. That said, not all players are like mine, and I do think it is a pretty clever little combat, so here goes. The battle map is a 5x5 grid of cherry trees, and the path our heroes need to travel goes up through the middle of the field. Hidden amongst these trees are 4 Frolits waiting in ambush. The Frolit is a creature of whimsy and imagination. In the hands of a Frolit, a stick might cut like it was a sword, and a big leaf might act like a sturdy shield. Frolits like to play simple games, they babble in Sylvan, but they're not calm or intelligent enough to hold a conversation. Frolits gather around more powerful Fae, and they feed off the magic those Fae emit in the same way that rats might follow humans around and feed off their garbage. It might feel a little cruel to kill a Frolit, but be careful, they won't think twice about killing you. Now, mechanically, the Frolits are pretty simple. They're not very bright, they're not very hardy. They've got a melee attack where they hit you with a stick that cuts like a sword. They have a ranged attack where they pull the stem out of a cherry and throw it at you, and of course it explodes like a bomb. But that's not the real challenge. The real challenge here is playing around the cherry trees. The Frolits have a bonus action called Fortress of Foliage, where they can cause a hedge to spring up between 2 cherry trees, connecting them like a connect the dots puzzle. These hedges form a shield that will block projectiles and line of sight, and they'll also push people out of the spaces they occupy. Players can cut through them with most kinds of damage, but once it's the Frolit's turn, they'll just spawn another. Now, the Frolits are much less hampered by these hedges. They can throw their bombs straight through them as though they were clear and non-existent. Mind you, they can't move through those hedges, but that's also a benefit, because whenever one of these hedges spawns, it's going to push anything inside of the area where it spawned to either side of the hedge. And you as a DM can use this to allow your Frolit to escape a player that's gotten too close to it without having that Frolit take an attack of opportunity, so long as you position the Frolit in a place that would be pushed by the spawning hedge. Now, to be clear, this fight could be cheesed pretty easily by a flying character, but honestly, frankly, I think it's fine to let that happen. This fight's not meant to take up too much time, and it's just meant to be sort of a change of pace and a slight resource sink. So letting your players beat the tar out of these guys doesn't really hurt them or the game. In fact, I think players really like getting a decisive victory. As a reward for having won this fight, you can loot the corpses of the Frolits, and on them you'll find a couple of cherries that have been transformed into explosives, and a stick that thinks it's a sword, or, I mean, it's a stick that for you thinks it's a dagger. The Frolits are pretty small. With the Frolits dead, eventually you come to the spooky old hunting lodge of Duke and Duchess Auclair. I say spooky old hunting lodge. It didn't look spooky or old from a distance, but here you see that the front door is hanging open and it's creaking on its hinges. The place looks abandoned. There's no coach out front, no hoofprints in the mud, there's no sign of servants. There are, however, a couple sets of bare human footprints leading to the front porch. So perhaps it's not totally empty. As you step up to the porch, you notice that you can still hear the band playing down in Prin. It doesn't seem like we're safe even here. But there's something else too, something that's really out of place. Someone inside is crying. It's time to figure out what's really going on in here. You slink past the door into the foyer. It's dark, there are no torches, the windows are drawn shut. But the lodge itself is spotless. It seems whatever charm is working in Prin is hard at work up here too. And you decide to follow the sound down the corridor. You pass door after door until you come to a wide sitting room. On the walls are dozens of mounted trophies, and something kneels in the center of the room, hunched over on a bearskin rug. It's dark, but you can see the thing in front of you as if it were lit by moonlight. Whatever it is isn't human. Obviously, it's not human. It's too thin, and its skin isn't quite the right color. It's a little too yellow. And it's shiny, also, like the skin. It looks like it's smooth and ceramic, and as you take a closer look, you see that it separates at each of its joints, forming a sort of carapace. It could maybe pass for human at a glance. Well, no, it certainly couldn't. Look at its eyes. They're huge and glassy and like copper or maybe amber. And whatever it is, it's clearly not traditional eyeball. The party steps into the room, and in an instant, with no flash of magic or twisting skin, the creature kneeling before you isn't some monster. It's just a girl. A normal young girl holding it's holding a baby. It's a happy baby, but it's holding a baby.
Who are you? You're not Olivia, you're not Simon, and you're not any of the servants, and the young lord's with me, so this can't be your home. What are you doing here?
The party whispers amongst themselves before one of you steps forward with arms out to the sides in what you hope is a calming gesture. We're travelers. We mean you and your young lord no harm, no trouble. We just come to investigate the magic that is controlling the town below.
Visitors? I can't take care of visitors right now.
We can leave if you like, or perhaps we could be of service if you tell us who you are and what weighs on your shoulders.
I am called Threepenny, and I mourn the Duchess Auclair and the Duke Auclair, for I fear they have left me for their court, as they do every year. I had hoped so much that this year would be different.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, but are you perhaps the one who's enchanting the people of Prin?
No, I'm not enchanting this place, but if it'll get rid of you, I'll tell you the story of how it happened.
She wipes the tears from her eyes and composes herself.
All right. Once upon a time, there lived a proud Duke and Duchess of the human worlds, and they led a small retinue of riders out into these very woods. In their wanderings, they must have become quite lost, as one must be lost to find their way into my mother's grove. In that wood, they found me sleeping, nestled between the roots of a beech tree. The Duke woke me from my slumber. "Young girl, are you lost? Are you alone?" he said. I nodded, as lost is where I was, and I was indeed alone, as Mother was out riding the winds. And the riders all began to chatter in voices that were filled with anguish and concern. And again the Duke spoke. "Well, I suppose you should come with us. We can't just leave you here. You could get hurt or worse. Can you point the way to your village?" I shook my head. No, as no village has ever been built in the Grove of the Lost, nor can anyone point the way there. That seemed to concern them all a great deal. The Duchess came close, and she checked me over for injuries, and then took me onto her horse. They were kind to me. They gave me water and strange food, so I thought to ride with them. Not long, just until Mother took notice. And soon she did. She came down from the winds and appeared in the branches overhead. But the riders did not see her, and she did not reach down for me. She spoke then, and she praised me, saying that I had done well, and that I should take heart, that the trade of a treasured child is a very old and venerated tradition amongst our kin. She said that I need not fear, and that one day I would return to the grove when my trade was complete. And so I left with them. The Duke and the Duchess were very kind to me. I made my home in this lodge, and the days we spent here together were wonderful. But soon summer ended, and my lord and lady made plans to leave the lodge and go back to their court. They told me that their court was a place I could not go, for my presence would cause scandal and rumor, which would do great harm to their noble name. So I was to live here in Prin and wait each year for their return. This arrangement was not to my liking, and I thought to make the best of it. In that time, I made the cherries grow, and I taught the villagers how to make drink, and I believed that they would stay with me if I could make this place worthy of them. And indeed, they were happy the next summer. And then autumn fell, and again they left, and again I wilted. Then the third year came, and when the lords returned, they came with wonderful news. The Duchess was with child, and within a month the child was born, and he was healthy, and he was wonderful, and he was full of sunshine. And in his joy, Duke Auclair announced that in 1 week's time they would hold a celebration throughout all of Prin. And so he did, and it was wonderful, and on that day I sat with the Duke and the Duchess and their babe, and I heard them whisper a wish. They wished to one another every day could be as this, that their joy would not end, and that this festival could last forever. I heard their wish, and I knew what had to be done. I called the wind to lend me its voice, that together we might sing their wish to life. The wind listened to me, as it does my mother, and our song was called Revel.
So you did enchant this place?
No, listen. Revel came down from the wind. It lives in the people of Prin. It nests in their minds. The parts in humans that they leave empty when they glamour themselves with drug and drink and passion. With the power it draws from their collective minds, it plays host to its host, and it spins them in a dance that will blur out the troubles of the world. You needn't worry about the people of Prin. If they hunger, Revel will feed them. If they break, Revel will fix them. They will be happy here, and they will never have any reason to leave me again.
Elsewhere in the lodge, another member of your party has been snooping around for clues, and, also maybe loose coins. They find their way into the bedchamber, where they find thumbtacks scattered all over the floor and bed. They pull out the letter they found on the corpses in the edge of town. It's softer here. The music from Prin is softer here. It is. You can barely hear it. Tacks in our bedchamber. Oh, that much seems like it was literal. Awakened together. see through each other's pain, find salvation. As you read the note again, you realize that this is not, in fact, a love letter. It was flowery, sure, but it was just a pretty literal message. Probably one from the Duke to the Duchess, left in this room so that the other might find it. It seems like they had hoped to escape together, and it looks like it would have worked. But they died, and it's pretty clear why. Their bodies were too frail. They've been living like this for a long time. Whatever magic is holding them up, they might be able to live for a little while, but certainly not make the journey to the next town. There's another letter on their nightstand. This one is spotted with a blurry tear stain. It says, "The babe must stay." And below it, in another hand, the words, "I know." Back in the trophy room, the party is trying to explain to Threepenny that the humans, that they need regular sleep and healthy food, and that they might look happy, but no one would want to be controlled like they're being controlled now. Threepenny will hear none of it. People want to taste good drink, and they want to dance, and they want to sing, and they want to live without worry or pain. I have given them a world without want. They don't just look happy, they are happy. They have to be happy. Revel won't let them feel anything else. From behind you, the member of the party who had been exploring the bedchamber steps through the door. They carry with them the two letters and their hidden meaning. "We know where the Lord and Lady have gone, and they will not return. Not now, not next summer, not ever again. The two lie dead on the road at the edge of town, and in their pockets we found this. It's a letter written in their own hand, and it speaks of how they planned to escape this place. They were afraid of your Revel. They were trapped inside it. And when the chance came for them to flee, they took it, and it killed them." "Liar! Liar!" "You needn't take us at our word. Read the letter. Go to the edge of town. Find those corpses. They're not hard to find. You'll see that they've been dead far longer than we've been in your town." "No! No!" And with a last impudent scream, the windows burst open, curtains flying, and the room suddenly fills with gale force wind. And in half a second, Threepenny and the child are gone. The house is quiet. Well, there's nothing left for us to do here. Maybe we should go back down to the village, see if there's anything we can do for those people. You head to the front door, and that was fast. Threepenny's back, and she's sobbing harder than ever. In her grief, the illusion around her body is beginning to fade, and she again appears thin and alien. "It is as you say. They have abandoned me. If it is your wish to destroy Revel, take this." She holds out her hand, and in it you find a coil of black silk ribbon. "Revel is sung from many places, but in Prin it began first as the wind passed through the ribbons of the Maypole. Add this ribbon to their number, and it will play the wrong notes. Wind it around the pole and draw it tight, and it will drive her into a rage. The village will rise up against you, but fear not. The people of Prin are immortal so long as she's rooted in their minds. You won't be, though. It'll want to kill you. If you can drive her out of them, the people of Prin will live, but they will likely be helpless, just as Simon and Olivia were, out there in the woods." "Well, shoot, that's a bit of a problem. Could you heal them?" "I can, but this is your endeavor. I would just as soon leave them to their dancing. Go, now, before I change my mind." The wind whips up, and the fairy child disappears again. You head back down to Prin and see the Maypole looming high over the center of town. Your ribbon has a loop at the end, and with a well-aimed toss, you lasso it over the wooden ball at the top of the Maypole. And you begin to walk in a wide circle, wrapping your streamer in a spiral around the pole, trapping the other ribbons beneath your own. As you do, an ear-wrenching note begins to fill the air, clashing with the other music. And the Maypole begins to change. Your ribbon seems to constrict it, and it begins to shrink, first down to the size of a small tree, then a war standard, then down to the size of a spear. As you reach the bottom, the Maypole snaps off in your hand, and you are left holding something that feels very much like a weapon. Its end isn't sharp, but the magic within this thing is constricted and being forced out the top of the pole in a pressurized cone that is warping the air around it. And you're not the only one staring at this Maypole. All around you, the citizens of Prin have gone deafeningly quiet. And then, all at once, the town begins to shriek. Not just the people, the chairs, the tables, the food, the whole venue starts to drag itself across the cobbles, spiraling around you as if you were suddenly at the center of a cyclone. Barrels, streamers, ham hocks, instruments, everything starts to spin through the city streets. Some of the debris has begun to assemble itself around the nearest villager, coalescing above their heads into a form with long arms and twisted horns. The creature opens its mouth to speak, but the voice doesn't come from it. No, it comes from the wind whipping around you through the rubble.
What is pain if they cannot feel it? What is spoiled if they cannot taste it?
The creature dissipates and appears around a different villager.
What is sickness if they do not suffer? What is death if death never comes?
All around you, the villagers have armed themselves with broken boards and loose stones and kitchen knives, and they're all swaying in time with one another, muttering,
"No one leaves Prin. No one leaves Prin. No one leaves Prin!"
Roll initiative. Alright, here's our boss fight. This one is going to be a little bit complicated. I'm not going to explain every nitty-gritty detail in this overview, but it'll be in the description. So here's the basics. On the battle map, there are 20 villagers. The Revel infects each of these villagers and uses their collective minds to manifest itself into the world like a malicious astral projection. The idea is that it is a song that is stuck in their heads. In this fight, the Revel doesn't really have a body, instead it has 20 bodies in the form of its villagers. It hops from host to host, manifesting itself around their bodies to prompt attacks. The Revel fights almost exclusively with legendary actions that it uses to direct its villagers, and with its own actions, it revives those fallen villagers to get them back into the fight. You can only hurt the Revel by attacking the hosts that it has manifested around while it uses them to attack. And since there are many villagers, this fight plays out a lot like a game of whack-a-mole. The resulting stat sheets, of course, are pretty big, but I do think they do a pretty good job at translating the combat idea into D&D's mechanics and stat sheet logic. The Revel has a couple of attacks that it can force its villagers to do, but my favorite one is the one where it tries to get itself stuck in a player's head. It's a wisdom saving throw, and if the player fails it, then the Revel can manifest itself around their character just like it would a villager. And of course it doesn't use those players' attacks or spells. I don't like stealing turns from players. I think that that's kind of not a great game design element. But it can force them to move, and it can use attacks through that player's position. And just like the villagers, anyone attempting to attack that manifestation of the Revel must also attack the player beneath it. The villagers have 2 stat blocks, actually, one for when the Revel is active and one for when it isn't, and that's mostly just to make sure that this combat doesn't involve you taking 20 turns, like one for each villager. They exist as shells to be puppeted, not so much as enemies in their own right in this fight. Players should be able to attack them and down them so that the Revel has less bodies to host itself in, but they're not here as combatants. Also, for the fight to go well, you're going to need to help your party understand that hitting the creature the Revel has manifested itself around is what's doing damage. I would have them going into the fight not knowing that, but I would also really try to make it clear that the moment they hit someone with the Revel around them, all of the villagers scream in tandem and the monster, flinches, and just really play up the fact that that was the right thing to do. You did damage here. Alright, so here are the stats for the Revel. Note that it is immune to conditions. That is supposed to be for the Revel itself, the thing controlling the whole combat. The minions, the villagers of Prin, those are not immune to conditions, and when it forces them to make an attack, it is them making the attack, and so any conditions that they have still apply. They just have to be applied to the villagers, not the overarching boss monster. To go back to the Maypole, that is now a spear in the hands of whichever player happened to do the wrapping ribbon around it ritual. It is a magic weapon, and if they look into it at all, they should be able to see that it has a couple of abilities that all target specific weaknesses of this fight. It does thunder damage, which the Revel is weak to, and also it has an ability that allows it to do some non-damaging crowd control, which would be very helpful if you are trying to wrangle 20 villagers that rapidly recover from any damage you're doing to them. Alright, that's it. The party battles its way through town, attacking the Revel wherever it appears, and with each blow, the manifestation comes back smaller and less substantial, until at last you break through the final cluster of party paraphernalia and you down the possessed villager trapped within, and it doesn't reform. The music is all but gone now. The illusions have gone with it. The town is dark and still and strewn with debris, but you can still hear it. It's somewhere. The blood is pumping in your ears, and you are gazing into the debris, looking for any sign of that final body, ready to put an end to this nightmare thing. And then you turn. Up on the stage where the band used to play stands Threepenny, holding the child. Around the child's head float two small cherries with their stems flared out like little horns. There it is, the last one. But now that you look at the child without the illusion, you see that the child is cracked and hollow like an eggshell. It still moves like a child, but something's very wrong with it.
I had hoped it would kill you,
says Threepenny.
but you have survived. I cannot let you draw the Revel from my young lord.
You ready the spear.
Peace, traveler, I do not intend to fight you, but nor will I allow you to kill it. The people of Prin are made of flesh and blood, you see, but the young lord's been weaned off little more than magic. Without the Revel's power, his body will be as dry leaves in the wind. Now that the Revel rests only in him, I will take him far away, back to my mother's lost grove, and her promise of trade will finally be fulfilled. Now, I will not thank you for what you've done, but nor can I hate you. I see that your people do not want to be without want, and that you are best left to your suffering. Goodbye, travelers.
And with a gust of wind, she and the child are gone. And everything is calm. You look around at what's left of the Eternal Festival, mostly rot and wreckage and near-dead townsfolk, and you put the spear down and rest, thinking back to when it was bright and lively. There was a woman, right? The one with the arrow in her neck. She said she could heal. We can start there. Let's dig her out of the rubble, and we can set up triage. God's willing, these guys will pull through. But they're gonna have one hell of a hangover. And that's the end of our adventure. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking around. If you like this, leave me a thumbs up. If you use it yourself or use parts of it in the game, please let me know how it goes. If you want more like this, too bad. This is my first video, and I have been learning Audacity and DaVinci specifically to do this video for this event, and there isn't any more. So if you like it, let me know in the comments, and maybe I will do more of it. If you want more of my content that isn't videos, I'll put links to my socials down below. I mostly do homebrew monsters and items and D&D character commissions. Thanks for hanging out. Please check out the other videos in this event. The Fae are my favorite monster type in all of D&D, and there's going to be a ton of videos about them, and I'm really excited for it.